Well, I don't know if anyone's going to show up for this stream. This was an impromptu stream where I got up in the morning and decided I wanted to fix one or two of the compiler problems I ran into last night. So the first thing that happened was we were getting some kind of a crash with calling a procedure. So it was here, oh, it was in print. So I tried to make this overload for log print, and it crashed, and I don't know why. Although someone mentioned, so here's the thing is I don't actually check anymore. One of my first demos was checking the format string versus the arguments, and somebody sent me a message like, oh, you messed up your format string or whatever. So that might have been there might not actually be a compiler problem at all. So what I'm going to do now is just investigate this and see what's going on. So I was trying to make this log print overload, and the goal was just to allow me to omit this log mode every day and just put a label and a string and a thing. So let me just, although I'll just call it here, reloading variables file, whatever, and a file name. So if that works, then there's no, I know, okay, the compiler just crashes, right? It's not even a runtime crash. So this is what we want to debug. Actually, it probably can be, let's isolate it to just one change right now, right? So the compiler crashes. That's obviously unacceptable. It's probably a stupid crash. So we're going to look at it. Yeah, I'm on a streaming tear lately. I don't know why. It's fun to do sometimes. Okay, let's close RenderDoc. We don't need that right now. Let's open Visual Studio, which I still don't have pinned. I thought I pinned to the taskbar like 10 times. Windows just doesn't really work when it comes to these things. Pin. Okay, so we're going to go to debug, and our launch options are going to be to, oh, it's there. It's already set correctly. Oh, well, the working directory was not right. Okay, so let's just see where it crashes. Oh, we got an assertion failed in debug build, so that's good. Sort arguments. There's a bug in sort arguments. So this is the procedure that gets called. So anytime you're going to call any procedure in this language, a whole bunch of stuff happens, right? Because you might have arguments by name instead of by value. You might have default arguments that you didn't provide that this then fills in, or default values for arguments. You might have varargs, variable arguments, in which case they all get collected into an array at the end, which is what we're doing here, right? So here, we're calling this procedure, and then this has variable arguments at the end, right? And then it's even passing them on to here. So let's find out actually which call is crashing. So this variable site tells us which call we're working on. So we say site line number and site file name. So it's in print line 283, which it's this one. Okay, so what's happening is I haven't done this in a long time where, you know, if you have an array, you can pass that as variable arguments by like spreading like this. And the way that you would typically pass variable arguments from one procedure to another is by doing that. And apparently that broke at some point because I haven't really been using it. Although I'm using it here. See that? So why does it work there and not here? That's a good question. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stream. If you're watching too many streams, feel free not to watch. I just felt like streaming again. And I only have like about an hour or something before I got to go. So this is going to be a shorter one, but this shouldn't take that long to fix. Hopefully. Hopefully. Okay, so what's happening? We're calling sort arguments, and sorted index is 3, and declarations only has 3 items, which means the valid indices are 0, 1, 2. Okay. What I think is happening is the thing that is supposed to pick the right procedure overload is screwing up somehow. And we thought we were getting this that has 4 arguments, and we're actually getting this. So we're trying to pass 4 arguments to a 3-argument procedure, but we're past all the funky guards against that. And to test that, I'm going to call this test log print and test log print, and I bet you this compiles and works fine, right? Yeah, I mean, let's go back to the release build and verify. Did that? Why didn't that recompile anything? Oh, right, because we didn't change the compiler. Our test log print, we're saying return log print, and log print doesn't return anything, it returns void. So maybe I should say you can say return whatever to return void. That would make sense. Anyway, so we can compile now, we can run now, and we say reloading. So it's some bad interaction with overloading. It's the fact that these guys have the same name. I'm a little bit surprised by that. But then I saw some other bug in overloading, so maybe I'm not that surprised. So let's do it again. We've now changed it back to something that crashes, so would I ever dabble in machine learning at some point? Maybe. Not right now, because I'm trying to fix a bug. All right, so how did we get, let's make sure that we're trying to call the wrong procedure. So the procedure no, that's the wrong thing. Well, okay, we got a procedure expression, so we are varargs, that's fine. Where did declarations come from? Declarations was passed into us by the caller, and it's incorrect as passed, so the mistake happened higher up. Lambda argument declarations, so that's set on proc expression inferred type. So proc expression is wrong, which means overloads are being resolved incorrectly, completely, which is, again, not surprising because that's what I said before, but we're just validating that. Okay, no, it is not correct. Okay. It is not correct what I said that we're picking the wrong overload. Right now, okay, silent check is true. So when you're deciding if you can call a particular overload, we do all the type checking that happens when you're actually calling something, but we do it in like silent mode that doesn't generate errors to ask whether we can call this overload, right? So when you're over here in reload variables and you call log print, it doesn't know at first which one you're calling. So it says, do these arguments fit this? Yes or no. Do these arguments fit this? Yes or no. And the answer should be, well, if it's this call to log print, it should be no on this one because there's not enough arguments, and yes on this one. So actually, everything that is happening is actually right because we're calling this in silent mode, and we're just sort of asking, is this procedure the one that we want to call? The answer is no, but for some reason, we are not rejecting it. We should be rejecting it before we get to the point where we are. Let me just search for who says there's some error somewhere that says number of like incorrect number of arguments, which would be where the check is. Well, that says no. I don't remember what this error message is. So let's generate it. Let's go back. Let's say free 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, I've got to compile. No? What? Why is that crashing? What is even, my computer is going crazy today. Maybe I crash every time I can't. No, what? Who's crashing now? Let's get rid of this. Oh, somebody else comparing against this. So it's not this call existing, it's this overload existing at all. So probably something about varargs, because varargs is about having more arguments than are literally listed in the thing, and so it's probably something about that is messing it up. And let me verify that because this free, okay, too many arguments. Let's search for that. Too many arguments. Okay. Here's all our checking, and it's in sort arguments. It's right where we were. You know, sometimes I'm just blind. I'm just like looking at the procedure. All right. I'm looking at the procedure, but I'm not really looking at it. Oh, let me, so the very existence of, the very existence of that crashes us. We don't even have to call it, of course, because there are other calls to log print. All right. So we're in sort arguments, and this is the thing. So we're given 4 arguments. We wanted 3 arguments. But, okay, so basically, we only do this check. Yeah. All right, so because we're varargs, we're not doing this check of having too many arguments. Which normally would be fine because you would let's go look at this again. So normally that's fine because, you know, the whole point of this is just to say, look, any other arguments go here. However, well, I don't know if there's a however. I'm not sure what in this case is making it different. Let's just trace through this. So this particular call has a serial number, assuming that I put no jobs here, yeah. So whatever this call is, it has a serial number called S, 61246, and I'm just going to break here. Site S is equal to 61246, and we're going to restart. So it is varargs. So this limit is, what's the maximum index of non-varargs in the procedure we're calling, right? We figure out the type of the variable arguments because they can be of various particular types. Okay. So args given is 4, limit is 3. Okay, so sorted length, I feel like this is wrong. Let's see how that's used, but I feel like that's wrong. Because when things are variable arguments, why did I write that way? Okay, so we clear out this. So basically this sorted array is like, these are the arguments that you actually passed. And then we go through and we fill those in with whatever arguments you passed in. And then anything that's still null after that, if there's default values in the procedure, we fill that in. Otherwise we say, well, you needed to supply this argument, but you didn't, right? Argument 0, this is fine. Argument 1 is fine. Argument 2 is fine. Argument 3, this is going to be the one that's problematic. Argument 2, we would have said, okay, so what we're doing right now is we're saying, for example, can this call probably apply to this procedure, right? And oh geez. Oh boy. We're going to have a different issue because, I mean, not that bad, but these are ambiguous anyway. Because, this could apply to this or it could apply to this. So I blithely did this thing, and once we fix this bug, if it's working correctly, it should say, I still don't know which overload you're trying to call because they're both valid. So that's funny. Okay. Sort the given arguments if they have names, etc. All right, so we're in argument I is 3. So we're on one of these. I don't know. Let's say it's this. Well, let's even find out. So site line number is 284. In print. Oh, so we are doing this one. We're checking this versus this, which is goofy, but that's how compilers work. Yeah, I mean, it's true. So when we're testing this versus this, it is true that this doesn't match that. I'm not sure why we didn't already reject. So we can, because we're not actually type checking yet. All we're doing so far is filling out the values. So when we get to the type checking phase, yeah, it would say, oh, right, so here, right, so it wouldn't be an ambiguous overload. No, you're correct, because this would get rejected against that. The problem is we're not even there yet in terms of this code we're looking at. We're just filling out the argument. Yeah, so you guys are right. Sorry, there's no ambiguity. There's no ambiguity, which is probably what I knew last night and why I made that overload. All right. So args given is 4 and I is 3. So we have, and we didn't call it by name, so name is null. So we skip all that. We haven't even used a name at all during this call. That's fishy, but I think that's only meant for the case of calling things by name. Okay, so this is to check if you gave an argument twice, right? If you gave it already once, then this sorted array would be filled in, and then we try to put it again. Hello, Maxwell Perlman. Okay. So we're looking in unsorted now, and we're plopping the argument into sorted, and it is spread. So spread means this thing. I'm going to assume that doesn't crash. Okay, so I don't remember where it crashed now. I just wanted to see that. Wait, it didn't. What? What? Does this only crash on the second call? Okay. Let's do that again. So, first call, second call, crash. Okay, so it's doing something different on the second call that is causing it to crash. So first call, we're going to skip because we saw what happened. Second call. Okay, so the first call, like I said, was to test whether various overloads are happening. Although why? Okay, what I suspect happened is that this call yielded earlier. So when things aren't ready, okay, this is maybe the source of the problem. We can get all the way through type checking this call and stuff, or doing this argument sorting, and then we get to the type checking and we're like, oh, one of the types we need to check isn't compiled yet, in which case we yield and come back. And in the case of procedure calls, we have to do all this work like all over again because I don't save the state, or I don't intend to save the state, but I wonder if the state is a little differently messed up. I wouldn't totally doubt it. Yeah, like, well, I don't know. Let's see how it's different. So names unsorted should still all be, it should be just an array of null values, so that's fine. Args given 4, limit is 2. Oh, okay, no, that whole yielding thing that I said is not what's happening. Sorry. Okay. What's happening is I said the wrong thing before. So the site that we're calling from is here. Let me, the problem with streaming is I feel like explaining, and sometimes I don't have a full understanding of the situation. So let's just pop up for a second. Proc expression inferred type line number is 283. Okay, so here's what's going on actually, is the first call was not to this same procedure, right? The first call was to line 270. Which is this one. So this first call that didn't crash was actually testing this against this, so that's no surprise. The second call, which is crashing, is just testing this against this. Forget what I said about yielding and stuff, that's not happening here. It's just, this is the first one, which is the procedure that has enough arguments, and this is the one that doesn't have enough arguments. So that's all. I spoke too soon. All right. So, sorted length is 4 because that's how many arguments we gave. We're probably just doing something dumb. Let's just go to the crash again. So, crash, whoops. So we're assuming only in the case where the last expression is spread. Yeah. Okay, so what I feel like here is there's not enough type checking. So what's going on is basically, when the last expression is spread, it's a shorthand for saying, look, this is the varargs, right? So this goes there is kind of what we're saying. However, this is trying to go in that slot already because we have argument 1 goes there, argument 2 goes there, argument 3 starts going there, and then this, right? And you can't currently, the procedure call mechanism doesn't support a spread plus some other random thing as varargs. If you want to do that, you would have to put them all into an array before the call. So what's happening here is what I should do is read the code silently for a couple of minutes without trying to explain to figure out what to do. But basically, the assumption by the time we get here is that this index points to the last argument in the array. It points to, or the index is the same as args wanted minus 1. So what I could do, I can put this assert in here, which will catch this problem earlier. And we'll also verify that I'm correct. So if I'm not correct, this assert will go off for other things. So I will say assert sorted index is equal to args wanted minus 1. We had better be targeting the correct slot. So now we'll still crash. We will, however, crash on that assert. And maybe we'll hit that assert somewhere else in the program, in which case maybe I'm wrong about what I'm saying. Okay, no, because we're hitting the same site, line 284 of print. So it's at least not happening anywhere in the program before this. You know what, I can just do the type check here. I'm going to say I'm going to my preferred editor now instead of Visual Studio. Okay, so I'm going to say if sorted index is not equal to this, right? If silent check, we just return false. Otherwise, we report an error. Our attempt to spread into varargs, but our previous argument already started occupying the varargs slot. And I'm going to say, cleanup, is there a better place to put this type check? And I will not forget to return here. Let's run it. Okay, well, it gave us an error somewhere, but not there. So let's go back here. We'll run the debug version of the compiler so we don't have to keep switching back and forth. Assertion failed, no yields. Oh, you know, hold on. So sometimes I return a yield status and sometimes I return a success. So this assertion that's going off is in line 6426. Oh boy. That's entertaining. That's entertainment. Let's see what's happening there. So we're not asserting there. Is it having to do with being threaded or not? Yeah. Oh, here's my free 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I was using to test things. Let me get rid of that. This was a nonsense procedure call that I was like just trying to invoke the general overloading mechanism and see if it did a bad thing. So, all right. Whoops. It's in run tree. Okay, so that worked. So we fixed the compiler bug. I'm a little bit worried by this not yield assert, honestly. That's a different problem. Does it? Ugh. I'm going to put that down as a different thing to look into. Let me talk about what's going on there. Let me make sure it's not a complete mistake, because this could be an easy problem to fix, or it could be a hard problem to fix. Okay, wow. Yeah, no, there's a problem. There's a problem. Let's take off the no jobs. So no jobs makes things easy to reproduce and synchronize, because things don't run threadedly. So now I'm not hitting that assert even here. So it's something, it seems to be something very tweaky. Involving the order of things. Okay, I don't know what's going on. This is freaky. So there's some kind of, one of those times when I ran, I also got a memory corruption on free. So there's something bad happening. There could just be somebody trashing a little bit of memory. So that's going to have to get worked out. That goes on the to-do list. However, last night's bug comes off the to-do list. So we sort of traded one bug for another, but that's how programming goes. So I'm just going to go back to the release build for a second, compile that. Okay, we can still compile. And then I'm going to go make sure that I can use my overloads, because that was the whole point of this. And we can. So I'm going to shorten this file by replacing that with nothing and use my nice overload that we earned through this debugging session, and we're happy. This compiler crash when resolving overloads with args. Except that's not right, because I just committed Sokoban. This is the game, not the compiler. Okay. No, because the point of silent check, you have to return false. Oh, I see. So you're saying, what line was that? See, oh, here I check for the opposite thing where you spread and then keep going, but I didn't check for this. Couldn't I, yeah, I could say if not silent check, do this and then that. The problem with that is that in the debugger only gives you ability to break line numbers usually. So if I want to test for returning false here, in the case when I'm probing and not really doing the check, I could put a breakpoint here, right? And that's easy. So in a case like this, I tend to structure it so it's easy to put a breakpoint. Any updates on experimenting with units? No, because I'm still, as you can see from this session, I'm still making other things more robust. Now what I could try to do, the other big annoying bug, and it's not even that big of a bug, but I just don't work with this code very often, is the path thing that I broke in LLVM, which is the whole reason why I couldn't use the debugger the last couple of days, and not using the debugger, for example, last night was very annoying. It caused me to waste 10 or 15 minutes. So let's try and debug that, since we've got an extra half an hour or something, maybe an extra 20 minutes. We might not. What am I even doing? Source. Every time when I move files around, I'm just totally confused about where things are for a while. So we're going to set our backend to LLVM. And it probably won't work unless Josh stealthily fixes something. Yeah, so it's just got the wrong path names for things. And I tried to fix this really quickly, and it didn't. So first, let me verify that these things are even living in that folder. Okay, they are all there. They're all in the right place. So the deal is just, it's looking for this one when we call link in the wrong folder. I don't know why. Let's just go real quick and try to refix it. Maybe I was just being dumb last time I tried to fix this. So we're going to go to the compiler. Win32 specific. Okay, so we say no logo, right, which is how you make link.exe, not print a bunch of crap. And then target file name. So target file name doesn't have the path. So I should just be able to do this. And I did this before, but it was after I did some other stuff, so maybe I screwed something up. So we want to prepend the path to the target file name. Let's call this path target. Oh, I got to recompile the compiler, obviously. All right. And hey, it worked. So if I had only done that correctly the other day or even yesterday, then I would have been able to run an LLVM and use the debugger and all this stuff. Yay, and let's verify. Okay, well, I am dumb is our commit message. So while we're doing that, let's do one more thing. And the problem is I want to not spoil the game. So I'm going to have to, so basically yesterday I did a bunch of OpenGL stuff, as you guys saw, and it's mostly working fine. There's one or two places in the game where we're getting an error, like OpenGL is giving us an invalid, handle error or something. Like we're trying to refer to a vertex buffer or an asset or something that doesn't exist. And what I would like to do is just assert there and debug and go up the stack. But so to generate that, let me, I'm going to turn off my display for a second and go to somewhere in the game, like there. Yeah, so, and then I'll go back to overworld. So basically, we get this GL invalid value error generated. And so what I want to do actually is assert there. So I'm going to go, yeah, it is a memory leak actually. Let's do this. Defer, free, path, target, fine. Actually, no. Well, no, we actually, okay, let's not free this yet. Because these arrays actually get passed into compile time programs and stuff. And I haven't totally actually decided what the memory policy is on that. Where is my add defined? Anyway, what I'm not going to rat hole on this. What Visual Studio doesn't even know where it is. Oh, but it does. Okay, yeah. So we don't copy it here. So as a result, this is sort of serving as the copy for now, and it's supposed to get freed later, basically, when it's done being used. So we're not going to worry about that here. Okay, so we have this GL invalid value error generated, and if you recall, if anyone saw this stream last night, there's this dump GL errors routine, and we only print stuff if we get down to here. So after I print stuff, I'm going to assert false, which should crash us. And that way, I will know where on the stack we are when I can stop in the debugger. So let me turn the display off again. Sorry. Run the game, go to the place, and yes, so now you see I get an assertion failed down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to, sorry, there's something weird now. I did a Windows 10 update, and now when a window closes like the game, focus doesn't go back exactly to the previous window I was using. Even though that's been how Windows works for decades, like now it's inconsistent and broken. So thank you, Microsoft. So I ended up typing into the OBS window when I thought I was typing into the console. Okay, so now we are going to go dev run trees, so go debug.exe, right? And let's hope that everything works. And what do I want to do? I want to set the oh, you know, the game actually sets its working directory now, so I shouldn't have to do it there. Let's see, start. Okay, so now I will turn off the display again. Oh no, I guess it went back to this window because I probably turned off the display and turned it back on. But I've had other problems lately in Windows 10 where I had unexpected window craziness. Okay, so I'm going to the place, and we get a crash. Let's turn on the display. Oh, it does it on the first frame now before. I don't have to turn off the display now because it does it before it gets anywhere. Okay, so Visual Studio doesn't know where the source is. Let's see. I guess we're not outputting our file names quite correctly. Okay, so we're drawing fonts. This is weird. So we're drawing fonts for the title. We're calling immediate flush, which sets the vertex format, right, like we always do. And that what is shader? Shader is the text shader. Oh, you know, I guess it probably just doesn't have everything that we're, all the locations that we're, it doesn't have a position loc, is that true? If that's all, I don't know, what is it? Position loc 0. How is that not valid? I mean, I assume 0 is valid because these are sequential. 0, 1, 2. Although transform loc is 1. What? Come on, people. So the annoying thing about this is GL invalid value error generated is a completely unhelpful error message, right? Like, you want to tell me which of these things is invalid. Then I could debug it, right? But we're stuck here with like 1970s debugging information because people who write OpenGL drivers are jerks. Or they just don't think enough about programmers. They're mostly concerned with, like, you know, Well, they're not really concerned with speed either because GL drivers aren't that fast. So I don't know what they do all day. They desperately try to make things work because OpenGL is crazy and too complicated. Is probably what they do all day. So I know when this is happening. I know it's the font shader, but I don't know why. You know, it might not actually. Let me elaborate on that. So there's a few things. So we could say there. It could be there. Or maybe somehow we had an error state. I don't know how this error reporting works. I don't know if it gets cleared out for each of these. But we might have actually generated this error somewhere where we didn't check, right? And then we, yeah. So let me actually see beforehand, right? So this is really unhelpful because now it's like, well, the error was generated before we came into this call, which means we're not actually closer to pinning it down. Somewhere we're like missing a dump GL error. Okay. Yeah, we've got a bug. We've got, wait, why am I running the compiler anyway? We've got a bug, but I wanted to run this. Okay. So I'm going to hit that. We're tripping this. And so let's just kind of look up the stack. So this error happened. We're not doing any OpenGL procedures up here, any calls. So it must have happened beforehand. Oh, right. I commented these out before because I was getting annoyed. This would be weird if immediate VBO were messed up, but again, it might have been before this, for all I know. So we're going to dump GL errors up here and say beforehand. Beforehand. Oh no, but it's bind buffer. Wait, what? Okay, did this actually save? I'm a little suspicious, but it didn't save. Oh no, it's the wrong file. Okay, there it is. So, oh no, okay, it's GL bind buffer beforehand. So it is here. So I have to keep tracing upward to find out where our GL error is. It's not an immediate flush. Let me just put it up here. See, now we're basically back to printf debugging. Can't I fire up my metaprogramming skills and insert dump GL error after every single GL call in the program? I could, but you know, I've got like 10 minutes and I just want to figure this out right now, right? That's all. Okay, so it's before immediate flush. So let's go back here. It's before immediate flush. So we draw a bunch of quads. Maybe it's in these GL tech parameters. Maybe it's before. how do I spell it? Dump GL errors, capital E, errors, bleh, and no, it's probably not in prep text. Bleh and yiz. All right. No. Okay, so it's somewhere between these things. That's actually good. That's good. So it's actually in this procedure. So point A, B, C, D. This kind of debugging sucks though. Like, I wish OpenGL would just tell me what the error was so I don't have to play this stupid game. G, H, I, J. Point B. So GLTech parameter F for max anisotropy. What? Why is that failing? It doesn't support max anisotropy? I don't know. Okay, that was it. That was stupid. Why don't you tell me max anisotropy is not supported? I'm using Windows because it works better than Linux for what I do. I can't do any of the stuff that I'm doing on Linux hardly because the graphics drivers don't work. Yeah, that wasn't actually really a spoiler. Well, I guess that's it. I mean, I want to know why this is not supported because I thought that was a thing. That's a link from 2007. Someone's complaining their driver crashes when they set that. To use anisotropic filtering, set this parameter is floating point and can be set between 1 and an implementation defined max. Oh, it has to be greater than 1. So I don't know where I got this 0 from. So a nice GL driver would say error, max anisotropy is attempting to be set to 0, but the minimum value is 1. If they had done that, I wouldn't have had to do any of this stupid stuff, and I wouldn't then have to go do any of this stupid stuff now where I'm deleting all these. Like, this is why I hate OpenGL. You know, if you, in DirectX, at least last time I used DirectX, you could run DirectX in debug mode and it would tell you that kind of thing exactly, right? It was very good for debugging, whereas this is just garbage. Like, GL is a waste of everybody's time. It's ridiculous. All right. And it's one of those things where, like, okay, yeah, that was legitimately my programming mistake. It at least wasn't like a driver bug or something. But, you know, you should tell me actually what the mistake was so we don't play some dumb guessing game. All right. Yay, we're happy. We're so happy. Yeah, implementation defined is always something you want to hear as well. Yeah, I might do a Vulkan stream. I keep saying I might do that. But anyway, so this was a good stream, though, because I only had like an hour or something, and we not only fixed the bug that I wanted to fix, we fixed another bug, and then we fixed this invalid value error thing. So that was all very good. However, then we also did find that the compiler is doing something bad with like threads and trashing memory or something, which is disturbing and will need to get debugged. But I'm not going to do that on this stream because I've got to go soon. Yeah, so we fixed the overloading problem. I fixed the wrong path with the LLVM backend, so we can use the LLVM backend in the debugger now. And then we fixed our GL error. So, well, you know, people on chat totally helped. So thanks for dropping by, guys. That was a productive stream. See you later.